Grazie. So here I am in Zurich, Switzerland. I'll give you a brief yodel. Yodel. Anyway, here I am outside the headquarters of FIFA, Fédération Internationale de Football Association. But in French I thought it's foot, not football. But maybe they just circumcise it for general usage. So FIFA is the governing body of football in the world. Now by football, what's meant in most of the world, as is in playing with that spherical ball, kicking it, and only the goalkeeper can use his hands. Obviously in the United States, football means something different. What I call football, Americans would call soccer, but soccer is from the soccer part of association. Or in the Republic of Ireland, we quite often say soccer, to avoid confusion with Gaelic football, which is their own sport, but I shan't go into that. So FIFA was founded in Paris in 1904 because football, I think it's the 1860s, that actually had been formally laid down as a sport. Now there have been forms of football dating back to ancient Roman times, but it was quite popular in England in the Middle Ages, but it was so violent Richard II had to ban it. There was shin hacking, there were almost no rules. There's still some of these very rough forms of football in certain towns in the English countryside, one saying you can do anything except murder to get the ball from one place to another. But then because of the transport revolution of the 19th century, people could travel a lot faster. Because of the train, you could go hundreds of miles in one day. And up until that time, rules are very localized. In my county, we have 15-a-side. In another county, we have 10-a-side, and so on. And one county might say everybody can use his hands. Another county might say nobody can use his hands. And yet another county can say only the goalie can use his hands. So they said let's set up a football association. I think it was 1863. Sit down and lay out the rules. Everybody knows what's what. Okay. So then the referee's not in the dark himself. And when we go from one place to another, we're all singing from the same hymn sheet. They managed to do that. Here at the FIFA headquarters, look, they've got a little football pitch, appropriate enough, with those little robot things mowing the lawn. Anyway. Football rapidly spread, became very popular in other countries, in Western European countries, and then even in Russia they're playing by the late 19th century, so British people mainly bringing it abroad. But the United Kingdom is fabulous at inventing sports, but actually really often rubbish at playing them, has to keep inventing them, so we have an advantage for the first few decades. So the very first international match in the world was England versus Scotland, and there was a black player for Scotland in the very early years. I can't remember his name actually, and it was amateur to begin with, and then it became a club thing. So there was another change, is that workers used to have to work 6 days a week. Then there was always a change, they were allowed a Saturday off as well. The Sabbath was obviously for divine worship. And so what were they going to do in their free time? Some of them could think of nothing better to do but kick a bag of wind around. And anyway, so football spread very rapidly. You don't have to be very tall. You don't have to be very short. You can be broad, you can be skinny. If you're obese, it's going to be a problem. But really, most body types can play it. So people are playing on somewhat of an equal footing. Now, obviously, there has to be some sort of dexterity, not really manual dexterity. What do you say, of the feet, like pedal dexterity? And then obviously they were going to organise international matches. So then they finally had the first Football World Cup in 1932, hosted by Uruguay. And some countries, Germany didn't even bother sending a team. I mean, in the depths of the Great Depression, they could scarcely afford it. But Uruguay, the home nation, won. 1930 was Uruguay, 1934 was, I think, Italy, whereas they said that Mussolini bribed some of the referees, and Italy beat Czechoslovakia 2-1 in the final. And 1938, France hosted it, and I can't remember who won, but Yugoslavia was doing very well in those days. Austria was absorbed into Germany that year, and there were some Austrian players who'd been excellent who'd beaten Germany, and then one of them was poisoned because he wasn't willing to play for Germany. So obviously there's no World Cup in 1940 and 44 for reasons you might guess, and it started again only in 1950. I can't remember who hosted it. Was it Uruguay again? By this stage, more and more countries are involved. Well, I shan't talk you through all the World Cups, but FIFA got a bit of a scandal for a while. It was led by Sepp Blatter for a long time, as in Josef Blatter is really his name. But if your name is Josef, your nickname is Sepp in the Germanic world. But like if your name is Joseph, your nickname's Joe in the Anglosphere. Blatter as in leaves. Maybe he had a lot of leaves. You might know from O Tannenbaum, wie grün sind deine Blätter. Well, not needles in that case, pine needles. You know, Nat King Cole, whatever his name is, he sang that one. Anyway, so there's a big scandal some years ago that supposedly the Russia World Cup and the Qatar World Cup were awarded by bribery, because various FIFA delegates have to vote who's going to allow to host the next World Cup. But bribery in Russia or Qatar, no, never. Perish the thought. The very suggestion is indecent that anyone would have ever offered a douceur in such countries, although they'd be working these Nepali bonded labourers to death in the searing summer heat of Qatar. But anyway, that World Cup is meant to take place in 2022, but they moronically put it there, knowing what the summer heat is like. We'll move it to October, play at night. That still might not be good enough. Move it to December. This will mess up domestic leagues. I don't know what they're going to do in the end. They didn't take away from other countries. They could have taken away from them. There was talk of taking away from Russia over the annexation of Ukraine, awarding it to other countries. It's not going to happen. And here's another football field right beside the FIFA headquarters. We're very close to Zurich Zoo, which is a magnificent zoo, incidentally, with several elephants and giraffes. So as well as the megafauna, they got a huge collection of really every species you could wish to see. So we're up on this hill just above Zurich, and across the street from the final resting place of the celebrated Irish novelist James Joyce. Anyway, that's just a little bit about FIFA. I can't remember who's head of it now, but several people were indicted there. The FBI was investigating them about their supposedly corrupt practices, them soliciting or indeed receiving illegal financial inducements. That's enough from me. I'm George from Ireland, so please follow me on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and subscribe to me. Book online lessons with me in history, politics, religious studies, English literature, English language, English as a foreign language, French, law. Did I forget to mention anything like that? Geography, citizenship, and I help you with essays, theses, dissertations, job application, your resume, that CV, elocution, interview practice. I translate from French, Spanish, Italian, Romanian, Russian and German, and I'm a tour guide in Londinium. Okay everyone, toodle pip from dear old Schweiz.